For the purposes of today, I am going to do my absolute best to capture all of the behind the scenes stuff of how I made this video from the start of the morning till the end of the day, as well as tonight going inside the RV and showing you some of my editing procedures that happen in making one 10-minute YouTube video. Alright, so this table currently represents pretty much all of the gear I use. I don't always use all of it in every single video, but let's start because here's how I get my drone shots. This is a Phantom 3 standard, and I shoot 2.7K, 60 frames a second, and then downscale that to 1080p, so I have some flexibility in how I shoot, but I fly the drone often to get really nice aerial shots. This is my dual suction dash cam that goes in the RV on my SJ4000. This is my Hero 3 Plus, which does all of the dash stuff that records me and Jax. This is my Hero 6 in an aluminum case with an external microphone here. This is also used for vlogging, mostly for when I go out and I don't want to carry around something big. This is great for travel or getting into small spaces and being less conspicuous. I have another Hero 4 black camera here as well. This is mainly used for time lapses. I do lots of time lapses both in the daytime and nighttime. These are my 1080p 60 frame a second camera glasses. You can see the camera lens there in the middle of the glasses. These are Go Glue. They last about an hour and a half and they're great for putting on so that I can walk around and do tutorials or how to and just get a different perspective. They're not very stable. I have to use warp stabilization in post-production. Also, I use these when I'm riding the bicycle just for safety to capture what's actually happening. This is my iPod, just like the phone I'm filming on right now, another useful tool for capturing video on the go. My Canon M50 mirrorless camera there, currently with a wide angle EFM lens on there. My Rode VideoMic Pro Plus microphone, shotgun microphone with a Deadcat wind muff on it right now. There's my Zhiyun Crane 2 stabilizer that holds this camera. Also some more lenses. I have the 75 to 300 millimeter zoom lens there, another 10 to 18 millimeter EFS. There's a kit 15 to 45 millimeter lens, which is great to have instead of this one, just to be able to zoom in a little more. And then I also have my 50 millimeter prime EFS, which is great for getting a lot of those close-up blurred bokeh shots out in nature. So some of my lenses and gear. That's pretty much what makes this channel happen. That's the magic behind the scenes. Now, what I really don't want to do is kill the magic behind making videos, so I hope this doesn't change things too much for my subscribers. I just wanted you to get a feel for it, some of the creativity. Some of the stuff is kind of planned when it comes to the equipment. Now, the day is not planned. How I react to the day isn't planned, or how Jax reacts to the day. You just never know how things are going to go. But setting up the shots is something that I do take a little bit of time and creative investigating to see how I can make it work. So for the opening shot, I want to ask Jax if he's hungry, and then I want us to come outside to a food bowl that he's going to like. So I have taken the Canon M50 off of the stabilizer because I know I want to get a really low shot to the can of food. So what I'm going to do is set this over there somewhere, and then I'm going to wear the microphone plugged into my recorder, and I'm going to have me talking to Jax inside and then have a transition coming outside. So maybe I'll have the camera somewhere like this, and as you can see in the viewfinder, I want the bowl to be somewhere in front so you can see us walking out of the door and having him come to the camera when it's time to eat. Okay, so there's no food in the bowl yet. Okay, so I can move the bowl to get the right perspective in the viewfinder to see when Jax is going to come up to it right here. And we're only really going to get one chance at this one, because once I say, "Are you hungry?" he's going to come running outside. It's actually a lot of extra work to record the behind the scenes stuff. So I'm going to start the recording on the M50 at the same time that I start the recording on here, and then I'm going to give a clap or something to initiate the start of the clip so that in post-production I can delete the audio from this camera and just use the audio on me for this particular shot. All right, camera is where I would like it. Record at the same time. Syncing for feeding Jax. Now I'll go inside and talk to Jax, get him all fired up for breakfast, and then I'll bring the food out here and we'll get this started. I know, wait, I know it's killing you to wait. They're pretty good. Now we'll just finish outside. All I really wanted to get was him coming to the food bowl to establish that shot. So yeah, that's how we do it. Okay, so here's how quickly things can change as I start to think about how to put this together. Throughout the day, I am thinking, how am I going to build a story and put this all together? Well, I definitely wanted to do some time lapses because the clouds are starting to show up in the sky above us here. So before I hit the road, I want to set up and do that. And then I'm like, okay, well, we'll just put that after this scene with some music. But no, we're starting with Jack's meowing and Jack's eating, which is no music. So actually what I'm going to do is probably any time lapses I do here will go at the very beginning of the video, I think, and then do an intro and then cut to Jax and I waking up to get our day started. We'll have to wait and see, but I'll at least show you how we're going to do, how I do a time lapse, because this is interesting, I guess. Those are those quick 3 or 4 second moving time lapses of clouds going by. Literally like 3 or 4 seconds, but it takes a little bit of work to make those. Now, in the olden days, I always used my Hero 4 Black, and I would set this up to take a picture every 1 or 2 seconds with an auto exposure and let that go for about 20 minutes. And then I would have all of these huge 20 megapixel pictures that I would have to create a video from and speed that up to make a 4K video that I could use for that 3 seconds. I still use this for night lapses because this is the camera I trust to be outdoors on the roof to get the stars and not have like problems. Like if somebody stole this, I don't think I would be too heartbroken. If they took my M50, I'd probably be a little sadder about that. Plus it's not quite weatherproof. So I don't use this for daytime lapses anymore. I use the Canon M50. Okay, so here's some of the things I love about this camera and this stabilizer gimbal and why I use it for my time lapses now. Look, we got a time lapse feature. Okay. So we'll go ahead and enable that. Scene 1 is a custom scene I have right here. Essentially, I get to say I want it to have intervals of 1 second for 600 pictures. I want it to give me a movie size of 4K. It's going to take 9 minutes and 59 seconds to do this, and it's going to give me currently a 20-second video, which I will then sometimes even speed up more to, like I said, a 3 or 4 second time-lapse video of the clouds. What I also want to do is get a moving time-lapse, so have the camera steadily move across the sky up here, and that's what this gimbal is so good at once you pair it with your phone Bluetooth. Before I do all of that though, I still want to get the focus right. I always switch over to manual focus when I'm doing time lapses on here because I don't want it to grab the trees in the foreground. I want the clouds in the background to be in focus. This is where I change the aperture and lighting and everything and make sure that I'm going to have the best shot to capture those clouds. So I'll get all that set up first. Then here in my app, I'll go over to a moving time-lapse feature, and it wants me to select a point A and a point B. So with the gimbal now, I'm going to turn the joystick, and I'm going to get the camera lined up where I want it to start. Okay, I want it to start right there. That's going to be the first one. It says 31 degrees, 21 degrees. I'll say plus. That's a waypoint. Put this down. Now I'm going to rotate it back around and pick my closing point. Okay. Right there, go back to my phone and hit plus again. Now we have 2 waypoints in there. I'll go ahead and select next. It's going to move every 1/30th of a second. The duration, I'm going to switch it to 10 minutes. So 10 minutes from it to get from point A to point B. And we're going to start here first, which will move the camera to point A, and then I will start the time lapse. The screen will auto turn off here in a second, but there's the countdown from 600 pictures, and this is slowly going to turn around and give me a moving time lapse. And then it returns to the home position and it's ready for round 2. So for reference, that 3 or 4 second time lapse that will appear somewhere in the beginning of my video took me about 15 minutes to set up. And once it's set up, I can go multitask and do something else, get something else set up, or start to think about where my next time lapse is going to start from. One other thing, I very rarely walk away from my equipment once it's sitting outside in a public area like this. I like to keep my eyes on it at least, but I also have my little alarm. This a doorman alarm, which is actually meant for hotel rooms. So you see these metal clips, as long as they're staying together, there's no alarm, but once they come open, you have a very high decibel alarm. And so what I'll do is just put this underneath one of the legs of my tripod. If anybody tries to take or steal my camera, that alarm's going to go off. Is it going to stop a thief? Probably not, but in the only one time where I had a problem, you guys remember in Reno, if somebody grabs that camera off the ground and the alarm goes off, they're startled. They're just all confused. And then they look around because they know they've done something wrong. That alarm tells you that camera is not finders keepers. If I walk up to something like this, it's clearly not mine. Why does it become mine? Because it doesn't have a sticker that says Eric on it. We don't live that way, guys, but still, that's one thing I do besides just physically keeping my eye on the camera. So at this point, I'm gonna set up my next shop and probably do 3 or 4 of these time lapses while I go inside and finally get a chance to eat some breakfast and get ready to get on the road. So here we are, more than an hour into the day, just filming, and I have created, what, about 30 or 40 seconds of actual video from my main video. That's the way it goes, though. Okay, so I'm feeling like I'm about ready to grab the Canon M50 and address the world and say, hey, here's what we're gonna go do today. But then I started realizing that I didn't get any like Jax exercising, and this is something we like to do. Jax just likes to walk outside. And believe it or not, to film that requires a little, actually a lot more patience by both of us and just a lot more complicated to film it. And like I said, I film it on this stick with an inverted GoPro Hero 4. I hold Jax's leash with one hand, and then this hand is going to be out in front of me like this as we're walking to try to capture him. So it's just not fun to capture that on video. So I'd like to put little snippets of it and then turn the camera off and actually let Jax walk around, roll around in the grass, eat the grass he's going to want to eat, and have fun outside. Because when the camera's on him, it's just different for both of us, actually. So I'll show you how I filmed those shots. Where are you going? You can't go that far. I got another camera over there. Well, we're not gonna be able to use that shot. Okay, now essentially Jax is fed. I've already eaten, taken my shower, got a pot of coffee made. I'm going to get ready to get the other camera and address the world and say, here's what's going on and here's what I think is going to happen. Although, unlike normal, today doesn't have a whole lot of planned stuff happening. Planned as in I do a little bit of research and say what might be along my route, okay? Well, today is just kind of making a video to film the behind the scenes. So we're gonna stay in this general area today. We're gonna go look at some nice river water probably, and then end our day at a Walmart parking lot and spend the night at the Auburn, Maine Walmart. Not too interesting, but like I said, you guys are getting to see how I put a video together. So let me put you guys somewhere and I will get my Canon M50 and I will film my morning intro. Yeah, turn the camera on, okay? Once that fires up, now we're stable, and now we're ready to vlog once I hit record. Right there, so I'll get ready. Gotta change some light settings, it's a little dark right here. Also checking my corners to make sure I don't get something in the shot that I don't want in the shot. There we go. Well, good morning, guys, from Auburn, Maine. Today, we're gonna go out and we're gonna have some fun. So let me show you a few things here before we get actually on the road. You should know that despite the fact that in all of my driving sequences, Jax is usually sitting in his bed here, he doesn't spend the entire trip there. If it gets too bumpy or he's just uncomfortable, he'll go down here, he'll go underneath my driver's seat, he'll come over into my lap, he'll do different stuff, but I usually keep the scenes where he's in his passenger seat because it makes for great video. And I'll show you. Up front, here's the one that's on us. It'll be at an angle like this, and it'll shoot everything over here. It gets all the way to Jax's seat, it gets all the way over here to my seat, and some out the window. It's extremely super wide angle. In post-production, which you'll see later, I make 2 copies of this so that I can have a picture-in-picture on the left and right bottom corner of the video, and the main video you're gonna see is through my SJ4000 out the windshield. And yes, I do recommend a dual suction cup aluminum bracket here that won't move. You do not want your dash camera to be moving. It just creates a really weird loopy effect. Oh, I didn't take your leash off. Sorry, guy, man, I'll fix that. And the last tricky thing is I use audio from the Hero 4. So I have another one of these microphones, the same that I'm wearing right now, that's plugged into the camera that's on us. Well, I want to use that audio because that's clearer audio than the dash cam video. So in here, let me put this camera down. This microphone is always attached here while I'm at the wheel. Obviously, I will also have a seatbelt on as well when I'm driving. But essentially, when it gets time that I want to talk to the camera or film something from us, there's two things I have to do. One, turn this camera on, record, and turn the dash cam SJ4000 on. I do it as quickly as possible. Click, click, and then I say, getting ready to approach the Walmart. Again, clapping so that I can sync those two cameras in post-production later and then remove the audio from the SJ4000 and only use this one. That way, as I'm talking, you're really seeing the right view out of that camera. If these cameras aren't synced, that's not gonna make sense. You might see me going under a bridge, but yet you look out this window and there's no bridge. So you're like, wait a minute, this part was filmed different. So I like to keep it more realistic that way. And then when I'm done talking, I hit stop on this, stop on that one up there, and then I will restart the dash cam because I always have the dash cam recording for personal reasons, even though I have lots of other cameras exterior to protect myself. But yeah, that's how I do that. Jax man, I need about 5 more minutes before we're ready to go. I still got to get the wheel blocks off and everything else and unplug. Okie dokie, did all of my little walk around checks. The RV is good. We're gonna be heading out. I'll show you what everything looks like before we get going. On the left side over here, I got my iPhone with directions. I'm not using my Copilot app right now, just Google Maps. We're gonna go to the water first. Before I get going, I'm gonna start both cameras. Jax is gonna start up there, but he always moves down. He will tire of that and he'll move down here. And once we get on the road is when I'll actually start filming when he's in his seat. But to keep my hands free while driving, I'm gonna do this now, which, as like I said, record, record. Getting ready to leave Renee's house. And now I don't gotta do it while I'm driving. It's ready to go for the next time Jax jumps down here and we can address the world. Cat bed. Go to your cat bed, please. Good boy, Jax. Can we do our intro now? All right. All right, guys. Well, we're on the road. Before we get too far out of Auburn, I'm going to dump the tanks and go look at the river there because it's a nice sunny day. All right, getting the Canon set up. And then we'll get the drone set up. Before I talk about this river out here, I'm going to find out what the heck it's called. Androscoggin River. Oh, this is the one I was at when I first got to Portland. Okay, so I will do a little intro out here by the water, and then I'll talk about wanting to use the drone, and we'll get some drone shots out here of the Androscoggin River. Only bummer part about the drone is when it's getting ready to warm up and acquire satellites and make sure that we're not in a no-fly zone, it takes anywhere between 3 minutes and 10 minutes to just kind of sit here and wait to give me the okay. So I just kind of keep an eye on it and multitask and kind of think about what I want to do. Make sure there's no wires or cell phone towers or anywhere that I don't want to fly it, but just want to get some good shots of the river, essentially. One of the things I use a lot on here is the return to home function, because it gives me really steady, like almost perfect video the entire way back to this point, and I don't got to worry about anything. I don't know if you can see the screen. I got the sun coming in, but we're flying back to where I just took off. And the views are usually pretty good. Pretty stable, pretty good. Actually, now I see the bridge. I'm gonna cancel that, and I'm gonna go fly over that bridge. Oh, that's a sexy shot. Put that in your coffee. Well, my drone flight got cut off short, although I took off in a safe area. As I was going that direction, I got a warning that I'd entered a no-fly zone, a power plant nearby. And so DJI turned me around and rerouted me back to my landing point. That happens sometimes. It's just kind of a safety feature so you don't get in trouble. You enter that bubble, just returns you to home. So no problem. I got lots of video. Found a sign for a public boat launch, and I love these areas. These are great little places to stop at an RV because they always have these big, huge parking spots for trucks and trailers. I'll introduce this little pond, and actually I will put the drone back up too. Maybe I can get some really good shots of the lake out here. I am gonna go walk this trailhead. Gonna pack up all my lenses and my other camera. I'm gonna bring this camera, but I'm not gonna talk to you guys. I will just set this up a few times so you can see how I get my shots. I'm not bringing the microphone or anything because I'm gonna have a full backpack. Also, when I start the day, you gotta think about 11 different cameras, batteries. You don't want to have batteries going out non-stop. You know, the gimbal batteries, the M50 batteries, and then the microphone batteries. If those are all going out at different times, it can really be stressful on the road. So what I do is, no matter what, I start every day with fresh batteries and everything. That's the best way to go about it. And with that theory, fresh batteries in everything to start every day, I generally never have a problem. Unless I'm filming a lot, I may have to put a second battery in the Canon M50 mirrorless camera once throughout the day, but that's about it. It's just easier at night to charge and make sure I have fresh batteries and everything. So we'll head up to this trailhead here. Actually, I made a change because of the amount of walking that's involved in this. I do this sometimes, not going to bring the stabilizer this time. I'm turning on some digital image stabilization, but everything you see from the trail will be me trying to hold this as steady as possible and performing some warp stabilization, some custom settings in post-production of Adobe Premiere, and I will show you more of that when we get to the editing process. It's not as great as a stabilizer, obviously, but it's just too much to carry this far on the trail, and I want to have light hands. Oh, and also because I'm going to be changing lenses a lot, I don't want to have to take the Manfrotto plate off and on that non-stop. Get everything all set up here and then try to hold this as steady as possible. Vaughn Woods. Well guys, here we are at Vaughn Woods, or as the locals call this, Hobbit Land here, just outside of the state capital of Augusta, Maine. And that's a wrap. By the way, perfect example for why I do not vlog with the GoPro if I can help it. I got here and the battery was full. Once I get in the trail, it goes from like 95% to dead for no reason. So, not going back to the RV. I'm not going to have any behind the scenes footage to share with you on this particular part of the trail, but I did bring all of my lenses. I'm going to be interchanging those and trying to get some really good nature shots on this trail. This place isn't too busy. It's a free dump station here in Lewiston at their wastewater treatment place. And so what I'm going to do is something I do sometimes if I get a chance, and that is I'm going to come through here a second time and set up my shots. So what I'm going to do is get an establishing shot somehow, maybe put this camera down here next to where the dump is, near this, so you can get an establishing shot of me driving up to it. And then I'm going to take my dash cam suction cup camera and I'm going to mount it on the window driving up to the dump station to get 2 shots. And then thirdly, my dash cam, I'm going to record Jax and I arriving at the dump station and narrate it. So let me get all this set up. All right, well, we're going to go circle the block. Here we go. Please stay. Okay, so I'm parked. I'm gonna start the editing process here really soon. Just understand, guys, I'm not gonna show you every aspect of the process. There's no reason for this video to be hours and hours long. It's already probably one of my longest videos ever. So I will show you a couple of the procedures of putting the video together, and then at the end of this video that you're watching right now, I will have a link so you can watch the finished product in case you missed it 2 days ago. You can watch what became of it, but essentially I'm gonna be here editing just the video with you guys here tonight. I've been driving around, so the alternator's been charging the batteries, but it's also overcast, so my 5 batteries are sitting at 14.4 volts. That is plenty enough to have the laptop running and editing all night, even past 1 a.m. if I need to. So I have no power problems. I'm not going to be watching TV. I'm just going to be editing tonight, and then tomorrow I will edit the making of. Does that make sense? Yeah, okay, so let's get all set up and we'll get to work. Yep, step 1, make sure Jax is comfortable. Step 2, All 11 camera SD cards need to be put onto the MacBook. That's right. This process can actually take more than an hour, and I think it's definitely going to do that today. Yes, I could use USB drives for all the cameras, but it's like 10 times slower. So I just take out all the SD cards, put in my adapter, put in the MacBook. I have a folder here called New Video. I'm going to have New Video and New Video 2 because I'm technically doing 2 videos, the making of and the real one. And I can multitask right now. I can actually start to reply to people on YouTube or Instagram, or get ready for my next Instagram picture, or possibly create the thumbnail picture for the video while I'm importing or copying all of these files over. It's not always so many different cameras and gear. Sometimes it's easier, but this is probably the most extreme case of different cameras. Yep, one more SD card to go, and we will be sitting at just about an hour to get all of that just copied off the cameras onto the computer. While we're waiting for that to finish up, let's go over a few things. Yes, this is my workstation, MacBook, fan for some fresh air going. Not many people get to drink on the job, right? It's the end of the day, I'm not moving anymore, and it helps me be more creative with the editing process. Okay, we'll go with that. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm going to turn you guys around and actually open up my screenshot program and narrate a little bit of stuff just so I can show you what I'm putting together and what all entails in building this later. But first of all, I just want to talk to you about a couple things about the process itself. Going to be sitting at over 200 gigabytes of just raw files to start this video. That is huge. I have enough space on the MacBook, but we are dealing with a massive amount of video files. 200 gigabytes or over 4.5 hours of total video that I'm going to crunch down into the most succinct, enjoyable 10-minute YouTube video. There's a lot of work involved here. Generally speaking, I pretty much always spend anywhere between 3 to 5 hours of editing one 10-minute video that you see on YouTube. That's my style. This is the story building time. This is when I start to think, how can I make this an enjoyable from point A to point B and make it seem like it's not just a congested Eric filmed everything all day type thing. There's going to be all sorts of things to wait for in Adobe Premiere, like rendering files. I can maybe get up and go make dinner or clean something. So it's not like I'm sitting here for 5 hours straight just working so hard. No, there's a lot of stuff that I have to wait on. If I want to do warp stabilization, I have to wait for that process to analyze and then allow me to apply that. So it's not just all sitting here at the computer non-stop. There is some stuff that just I have to be patient and wait. I do color correction. I know a lot of people don't do color correction for YouTube videos, but I do, and I'm going to show you a little bit about that. In every clip you see, I have color corrected somewhat, whether that's contrast, brightness, or more vibrant saturation, more vivid HDR effects, and all sorts of stuff like that. Every clip. White balance correction. I do audio editing corrections to bring volumes levels up and down depending on what happened. I use bandpass filters to cut out some of the air conditioning noise or the engine noise while driving. Again, there's a lot of details in this, and I will go over a lot of that. And for each 10-minute completed YouTube video that I call it, you can know that I have watched that completed video at least 5 more times after the fact, just to look at specific things, like to make sure my audio dissolves are okay and there's no clicking sounds, to make sure all the color is right and there's no bad warping going on in the stabilization, to make sure that I didn't mess up and say, like, I physically watch it one whole time through and fact check myself. Did I say the right word, the right name of the river, the name of the city? And of course I still make mistakes. I'm all by myself here. I don't have somebody screening all of my videos to catch these mistakes. But essentially there's another 50 minutes right there just spent checking the video before I export it and upload it to YouTube. When it's done, I render it one last time, which can take about an hour, and then I export that video, which again will take about an hour to export it with a YouTube codec installed into it, so it's a really good playback for YouTube. And then the upload process, usually I'm just exhausted by 12 or 1 or 2 a.m. and so I set it to upload on my computer, turn the screen off, and then I schedule it to be aired, to be published at a later date and time, usually always 7 a.m. Eastern time, but that changes sometimes. Also, oftentimes, I don't actually finish the video at night. Sometimes I want to do a night lapse, put the camera up on the roof and capture the stars, or do another checkup in the morning, like, hey, everything worked out okay here at this Walmart. So I'll get it all done up to the 9:50 mark and then add something the next day, and then I'll export it while I'm driving, or even upload it to YouTube while I'm driving with the laptop on the seat. Still waiting for this last SD card to copy over, and then we'll switch around to the computer here. All right, So first, before we get into the main project, I do have to do one normal time-lapse. So for this video demonstration, keep an eye on the arrow, because that's the stuff that's important. But right now I need to take some pictures I took with my GoPro and create a time-lapse really quick. So I'm going to import those files. Okay, we're importing picture files. And as you can see down in the bottom left-hand corner, we have a ton of pictures. I didn't tell you guys about this one, but I did when we were at the fishing pier there. I set up a time-lapse while I did my drone shots. So I'm going to drag the entire folder over into my timeline right here, okay? And now it gives me all of the pictures. What I want to do is select all of these pictures, and I'm going to change the duration. They were at 4 seconds, now they're going to be at 1/10 of a second. Ripple effect, shift, trailing clips, etc. If we go back and look at it now, you can see, if I slide, you can see the clouds moving. It's currently an 8-second time-lapse, about 8 seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and export this 8-second time-lapse, but later on I'm going to turn it down even more to like 3 or 4 seconds. It's opening Media Encoder right now, so I can put that YouTube codec on it. Then down here in the far left, I'm going to select a 4K YouTube preset, put it on top. I'm going to retitle this TL for time-lapse and Lake 1. Save, go. Then we wait for this to export that file. For time-lapses, generally, I do not do any color correcting or changing, zooming in or out until it's actually in my normal project. So once this gets done, we will open up a brand new project and start editing the actual video. The other time-lapses that I did were all done on the Canon M50, so those are already a 4K video file. This is just the slower version of doing time-lapses. All right, here we go with a new timeline. We're going to import all of the files, and this is going to take a while. Importing. Time to take a break. I'll be back to you when this process is done. Alright, so it's working on conforming. See in the bottom right hand corner right now? Conforming all of these files. This is different than importing the files. This then takes some more time. So in the meantime, I'm going to go get another one of these barley pops. There we go. My creative tool. Okay, it's done. That process took about 15 minutes, and we are ready to start editing. Almost. I need to import one more thing. My intro and outro presets. So we will start by grabbing my most current intro, put it on the time-lapse, and that is going to say that I want to build a 1080p 60 frames a second video file. Remember I talked about wanting to do a time-lapse for the intro? So this is not actually going to start, so I'm going to move it so it's not the start of the clip. We're going to go find those time-lapses that I made with the Canon. Here we are. Here's one of those cloud time-lapses up here in the top left corner. So it's currently a 20-second clip, and I don't want to use all that, so I'm going to select an in point right there, and an out point right there, and then I'm going to take this video file and put it into my timeline, so now it's down here on this right here. You can see how zoomed in it is. That's because this is a 4K file. So I'm going to reduce that down. Now we can see a lot more going on, and I'm going to create a little moving time-lapse that lasts about... Well, actually, I'm going to change something. Usually I put music to my cloud time-lapses, but I'm actually going to grab my intro music and select the stuff that's before that. So my Tennessee Hayride song. Alright, here is the full song that I use in my intro. Did you guys know that? Yeah, it's a 2.5 minute song, and here's the end that I always use. So I'm going to grab some of this and use some of this for my time-lapse. I have not rendered any of this, guys, so just be patient with me. It's not going to look right, but let's see how it sounds going from time-lapse into my intro. It needs some work. Let's see. Yeah, this should be the clip. Yep, that's where Jax comes out to the food bowl. But first we got to get the indoor stuff, so I'm going to just grab some regular video here, do an in to out like that. I'm going to drag this video after the intro, but remember, we want the audio from the microphone, so I got to grab the other audio. Yeah.
What? Dude, it's too early for all that.
Alright, because that's the audio I want. Let's see here. And there's Jax running to the bowl. Awesome. Alright, now... we got him eating food. We'll drag this file over to there. Cut this one here. Move that down. Now I want to get some music ready because I want to transition to Jax walking. So for that, Here's a great resource for you guys if you're looking for free music that you won't get copyright flagged for. It is youtube.com/audiolibrary/music. And all of this you can use in your YouTube videos and still make money and not get in trouble. So we're going to find a tune in here and import that into our file. Okay, I picked my song. You might not like it, but it's different. Yeah, this will work. It's definitely different. Not what I usually pick. But we're going to start this music right after the last time we talked, and then we're going to... Let me turn it down a little bit first. It'll be something like this.
Pretty good.
It's still too loud, so go ahead and back it up.
Some grass?
Remember, I'm not using any of this audio.
You want to chew on some grass? Why don't you chew?
We'll cut it right there, put that on top, and let's see what this transition looks like now here.
Pretty good?
Yep.
No, nothing can come as close.
Okay, I'm going to keep working on this. Notice how all my cuts are on downbeats?
No, nothing can come as close as you.
Another one coming.
Hear the wind blows, but through this unstoppable storm of love remains, it drives me insane.
So now we're going to introduce and say good morning when I'm standing outside the RV right there. So all of that right there gave me 52 seconds of video right there for everything you just saw. Okay, so I'll go through this and I will edit out any mistakes I made or any other problems, and then I will end it.
We're going to unplug and get on the road and go explore a little bit.
That's the end. I'm going to push the O to make that my out point, and then I'm going to drive this whole video and audio file to the timeline, and here's what it'll look like. Hang on. Okay, ready, go.
Well, good morning, guys. From...
Cool. Okay, so that lasts till there.
explore a little bit. Here we go.
Okay, then the next clip will be... Okay, this is what a lot of people want to see, is how I do the picture-in-picture of the dashboard and everything. So, here's a perfect example. Here's where I'm getting ready to talk about recording. I'm going to find the clap, and then I'm going to stop at the clap.
Get ready to leave Renee's house.
There's the clap.
Okay, so
and
go
take
back.
that entire video and audio file, put it on there. Then I'm going to copy, paste. I'm going to paste it right there. I am going to unlink it and remove the audio from the second clip and put this one right on top of it, essentially giving me two of what you're seeing right here, okay? Then I'm going to move all of these up one, and this blank spot is for the dash cam.
To leave Renee's house.
Okay. There's the clap. Now, instead of both files, I just want this video file to go underneath right here. Okay, so here's where the magic happens. As you can see, Jax isn't in his bed yet, but I think there he is right there. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to grab a crop, and I'm going to put it on top of both of these files right now. And now I'm going to shrink myself down to about 45% scale. Okay, then I'm going to crop in like this, okay, because I don't want all that extra room. I want you to be able to have a view. And then I'm going to position myself, turn like that, and turn in the corner like that. Cool. And then we will grab the Jax file. Since he's so adorable, we're actually going to make this file bigger, and then move it over here like that, down a little more like that. Again, go to crop, and probably just the top. Oh, his tail's in... Okay, we're going to have to cut your tail a little bit, Jax. Let's see how this looks. Cat butt! Cat butt!
Right. I'm going to do my intro now, so...
Okay, so here's where I'm getting ready to talk to you guys.
Alright, guys, well, we're...
Oh, that's where I want to cut it, right there. Now, if Jax were to move his position or something, or put his head over here, I may have to adjust the crop or something. I could also take off some of this, see all this extra window right here by my hand? I could go in and just kind of go like that, and then bring myself down a little more. Whoop, wrong one. Myself down, just to give you more view out the window here. But yeah, that's how we do that. Okay, here's me at the river. Let me go back to where I start talking, and... Hang on.
Here's our first...
Okay. Backing up, setting an M point to start right there.
Here's our first stop, guys. Remember this spot?
We'll put that on the timeline. Since I said drone shots, that's going to be next. So, before we get to the drone shots, I'm going to grab that music file that I was working with earlier, and we're going to continue to use that. So I got my music clip selected. We will put that down here. Obviously, reduce the volume a little bit. Go find my drone video. I have 2 drone clips. Here's the first one. Here's our takeoff. I'm going to set an M point and let this go a little bit. Remember, I want all of this to go with the music as well. Slide this down and see what this might look like.
Alright, we'll see that.
I feel we got so far in the
Stop it on the downbeat. I know I got a really good shot of the bridge. Yeah, right there. Actually going to start with the church, so I just changed that one over. We're going to start with the church.
We got so far in the game now. Everything's on fire now. To make it come again. We're crashing like a plane.
Cool. Okay, let me work on this a little bit longer. From this spot, the next place I believe was the fishing area. Where's that clip? Here we go. Okay. I got really close to the reeds, so let me see. I went all the way down. Oh, yeah, I got some really good shots there. That's cool. Oh, that is sexy. I'm using that. I'm putting that in my video. My vidya. That cool?
I want to drone it right now.
I actually want to do a little transition. So here you'll see how I do some audio adjusting. I want the music to start where I stop talking. So I'm gonna zoom in right here and create a couple points here. And then I'm gonna drag it to the lowest decibel so that it rises up where that clip starts. And what that'll look like is this.
I want to drone it. I want to drone it right now.
See how the music starts before it actually starts that clip? It just makes it a little more cleaner.
Right now.
Also, you can kind of see the horizon isn't very straight right now, and I got propellers in the shot. So let's work on that. That's kind of a common thing to happen. Remember, this is also shot at 2.7K, so I can actually zoom out right now and still have some wiggle room. See that? So I can zoom out to 72% there, but I don't want to. First, what I'm going to do is change the rotation. See rotation right here? I am going to make the horizon straight. I think right there at about, we were about 2 degrees off, okay? Now to get rid of the black extra, we're going to zoom into whatever we have to, there, and move it down out of the propeller shot, right about there. Let's see what this looks like. There we go. Remember this time lapse that we started when I'm here at the lake? Okay, let's bring this one in and also use this with the drone shots. See what this looks like. That's cool. Let's do some customization to this time lapse. Okay, so since this one was shot on the GoPro, we're going to go into effects controls and see how we can also reduce this down to like 72 as well and not lose anything. We're going to start an M point at 89% here over at the scale and position, and then I'm going to drag it till the end of the clip. Maybe. There it is, the end of the clip. Now we're going to zoom out like that and go up a little bit like that. So now watch what happens when I play this back. See how the time lapse is moving as well? Anyway, here's what it looks like without a stabilizer.
Hobbit land.
But what we're actually going to do is stabilize that video. And usually I do this at the end, but I want to show you the clip and how I do it. So we're going to type in, find our warp stabilizer, put it on the clip. And what's happening right now, see this analyzing in the background? It's essentially taking it frame by frame. And if we go to effects controls, you can see it down here. 2 minutes remaining, 10%, frame 79. So it's going in and it is finding a way to stabilize this for me. And I'll cut back in when this gets done. All right, it says 30 seconds to go. Go ahead and dip into one more barley pop there. Alrighty, so check back up here to the top right-hand corner video here. You see how it's blue analyzing. That's going to change right now to stabilizing. What does that mean? It means it is literally going to stabilize the video, but at a cost. Get ready because, did you see that? We zoomed in. we zoomed in, and now if I go full screen, it's not out of focus, but my face is not as crisp and clear as it was before. For that reason, if we go back over here to the top left-hand box here, right here, borders framing auto scale to 103.9. So it zoomed in and scaled me 3.9% to be able to make this stable. But now watch this video and pay attention to the corners.
Vaughan Woods, or as the locals call this, Hobbit Land here.
See how soft it is now? It's not jerky on the corners.
2 miles of trail through
Now,
here.
if you watch it too long and you just look at the outside corners, it does kind of make you dizzy or warped, as in the name warped stabilization. But if it saves your video, I will go no more than about 5 to 6% scale before I don't like the quality, where it's just too soft and you don't see the detail. So that is a tool I use. But at this point right now, I don't really have any other video to show you. There's nothing new, I don't think. All of this is going to be pretty self-explanatory till we get to Walmart. So I am going to now give you guys a break, and I'm going to spend the next 2 to 3 hours finishing up this video, and then we're going to have a chat here at the end about some more editing tools that I have to do. So, guess what, guys? We're done. We are done with this video. It came out to be 12:24, so a little bit over. Also, I changed the music. That music was driving me crazy, so here's our new music. It's just a lot less tacky. Anyway, you've already seen it because this video came out 2 days ago. From the time you're watching this. Anyway, I want to show you a couple changes that I'm gonna make. I'm gonna show you just 2 clips. So we're gonna work 2 clips as far as audio and video color correction. So here in this scene right here, we are driving.
Have decided to go a little bit.
What we are going to do here is we're going to apply a high pass band to the audio here, and I'm going to adjust this down to what I always do to the hertz and everything. We are headed for 151.9 hertz. Okay, that seems to work really well for what I'm doing.
Well, we're on the road.
What that has done is it has essentially gotten rid of all of the low stuff that comes through, like the engine rumble or the sound of the fan from the air conditioner or the heater and stuff like that. I put the high pass on basically anything when I'm driving, even with the microphone attached. And it really helps the audio become more clear. I just started doing this maybe 3 months ago on Lincoln Highway, actually, and it made a huge improvement. As for color, so this is straight out of the Canon, this color right here. And to me, it just always looks really, really bland. Now, one of the cool things about Premiere is that you can actually save your preset color. So if you do color corrections, you can simply just type that in and actually slide over some of your color corrections. What I like to do is physically make it more poppy. So I like to add HDR, saturation, warmth, contrast, and brightness to this to make it better. And I'm not going to show you particularly what my style is, but here's what we're starting at. And here is what we are left with. You will notice the red is a little stronger, but that's the sacrifice with saturating the video, is look how much greener the greens are. Okay, and how much bluer the water is in the sky and the whites and everything here. It's a style, right? So people have said I have too much saturation or warmth. So again, this is just a stylistic choice, and I'm not going to say one way is wrong and one way is right, because we all have a different style, and most people know me for my style of color that I choose. But let's talk about audio real quick. So right now we're going to take a look at this clip right here that I am circling right here. These lines down here, these graphs, these are audio graphs from the left and right channels. And as you can see, they're not even. It starts off really low volume, the middle is high, and then it kind of goes back down. So what I'm actually going to do is try to equalize this one clip, and I do this for all of my clips. But I'm going to set right here where it starts to get a little low. I'm going to pin a little dot right there. I'm going to pin a new dot at the end right there, and then I'm going to raise this up about 4 decibels right there. And this line is essentially saying that I am manually turning up the volume for the last 1/3 of this clip right here. At the beginning, it kind of stays the same until I start talking right here at this line. So what I'll do, I'm just going to cut the clip right there, and then I am going to select this clip, go into my audio gain, and I'm going to turn that up by 4 decibels manually. And I don't know if you saw it, but it turned that section up right there. The only last thing we have to worry about is the transition right here. If we go back over to the lower left-hand corner here under audio transitions, we have some crossfades, and I use these constant power crossfades a lot. So I will slide one in and put it right over the transition. And what that little box right there is doing is going to essentially make it a gradual dissolve into the next part, so that there's no changing in volume, and also you're not going to hear any clicking noise. So even this clip right here, you want to cross dissolve right there, otherwise you'll hear a click. Let's see if we can hear it.
Honestly,
all we heard was a Jack's meow, but there's a tiny little click change. So if you put in a dissolve right there, here's what it sounds like.
honestly,
It just makes the entire clip more smooth. And I put those constant power dissolves in every single clip throughout my video. Like I said, you have already seen the finished product, probably. But just in case you have not, now that you have seen the entire making of, I will encourage you to go, at the end of the video, there will be a link. Actually, it might even be in the top right-hand corner of your video right now. As well as in my outro, you can watch the finished product and see exactly how this came out if you haven't seen it already. Otherwise, from Jax and I, bye guys.